I had somebody a few weeks ago, and this is something I commonly hear, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who has ever heard this. I was talking about how I would come across people who would say stuff like, you could get a boyfriend if you just put on some makeup and stop dressing like a guy. A guy ain't gonna go out with somebody dressed like one of them. Yeah, and I was sitting there talking about, well, you know, I said I kind of wish people didn't say that to me, particularly just out of nowhere. And I said, that was one of my like pet peeves about the South is how people will make something that's not their business their business. How they would say that at like McDonald's or something. And the person I said this to said something to me that I've heard 10 million times before. And that was, well, why don't you move? Well, if you don't like how it is around here, why don't you move? And the whole time I'm like, ugh. Alright. Now I had to bite my tongue because I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that in mind because I know something, somewhere, some point in time, he's going to say something that I can give that same reply to. And he didn't. Now today he sat here, and he's talking about pollen. Now I live in the Bible Belt. Well, actually, I live more in the Bible scrotum of America. And he was talking about how he hated the pollen. Now we have an insanely high pollen count down here. I mean, picture Alaska with yellow, okay? And he was sitting there, he was talking about how much he hated pollen. I hate pollen. It coats my car. It gets in my lungs. It makes me sneeze. And God, make my eyes itch. And at that point, it was like, ding, 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 say it. And I said it. I'm like, well, if you don't like how it is around here, why don't you move? And without realizing that I was repeating what he had said before, he said, I can't afford it. Besides, I got my family around here and I grew up here. Why should I have to move? And I'm like, now you understand my dilemma. Now you understand me a little more. And I said, you understand because now, when I say I don't like a certain thing, not a huge major thing, like a tiny little simplified thing. I said when I don't like something about how people are, and you say, "Oh well, why don't you move?" Yeah, I told myself it's not that easy. It's not, and no matter who you are, no matter what you are, every single one of us has something about the town or the city or the country that we live in that we don't like. And for me, the most arrogant line that anybody can say is, why don't you leave? Or why don't you move? Because that's more or less saying, why address the problem when you can just forget about it. And I hear that so much. And I don't know if it had any sort of effect on him, but I think it did get him to thinking a little clearer. So maybe now he won't be so eager to say, well, why don't you move? Honestly. Another thing. I'm looking at the steno pad. I keep a steno pad around when I have game cheats. So I got tons of game cheats in here. Hold it on half. Oh, interesting. Anywho, there was something else I actually wanted to say in this video, and for some reason I cannot think. Oh yeah. Sort of off, well, it is, not sort of, it is off the subject. If anybody wants to participate in, postcard sending, and it doesn't have to be like these fancy postcards that, in this town, it's hard to find. There's only one place you go to and they sell them for like $1 a piece. And they're the big ones, so, well, they're actually $1.75. I think bucks for the small one. But they didn't have any small ones, so it was like $1.75 for those big ones. And you have to put like a 50-cent stamp on them. And it's a lot easier just to send a letter. Anyway, like I said, it doesn't have to be these actual like postcard size. You can just take, like the measurements for an actual postcard, or the postcard, an old postcard itself, and you can trace off cereal boxes, cracker boxes, candy boxes, cookie boxes, food boxes, frozen food boxes even, and you can just, cut that pattern out of it and draw on the inside of the box. So, if anybody wants to participate in that, let me know. Another thing I am currently like writing down, we're going to help some people out on Tumblr. People need like appropriate guy names. And I'm coming across some names to help people out, who want to choose. And I couldn't think of any other than the basic, like, Josh, and Dave, and Mike, and Bobby, and the freaking Brady Bunch, and John Boy, and Billy Bob, and all those redneck names. Because they're redneck, because nobody in Canada is named Billy Bob, alright? But, prove me wrong. Anyway, I was going through, like, old great-grandparent people's names. And I kind of realized these would be some, like, retro names. Names like Mortimer, Barnaby, Vigo, Isidore, that's a girl name, and Ichabod. Yeah, that's names in my people's family. Ooh. Shit. Sorry. Theodore. And then he had a daughter named Theodore, who was sisters with Isidore. And one of them is an explorer. Anywho. So I gotta get this video kind of circulating on Tumblr. I am going to be seeing if maybe I can collect a few questions, any sort of, like anything you want to know, not necessarily about me. It can be about, well, it can be about me, it can be about transgender topics. Doesn't matter. And I'll be collecting some of those questions too, and we'll be making a video. I'm hoping for maybe about 10 to 20 questions. If not, then, well, that video will be made eventually. So anyway, see ya.